want me to wait 1 more minute? 1 minute. Oh, there's someone else on there? Okay. Yep. Yes. Am I okay? Yeah. Thank you very much. Well, a warm, warm welcome to this very important session that we're going to have. I know it is the last afternoon after a whole week of many sessions and hard work for all of you. So I'm absolutely delighted that you're still here and that you still show the courage to listen to a subject that really should have been high on the agenda, which is, of course, our WASAG, our global framework on scarcity in agriculture. It's water scarcity in agriculture, which is a big thing because it's a great challenge for the 21st century. We're getting more and more people. They say 2050 there will be about 10 billion. So if we want to feed them all, we need a lot more water, and water is, of course, scarce in all countries. So I'm delighted to be here. My name is Marie de Verhoef-Cohen. I'm the Vice Chair of WASAG. I was at the very, very first meeting when we created WASAG, and the FAO decided to make this into a very important part of the FAO, together with the people I will announce later. And we've also been here that was in 2017, where here at the Stockholm Water Week we showcased what WASAG was all about, and we're now going to show you the results after all these years and how well we've done, and that we really want to go on doing so. I would like to introduce the first speaker, and that is Timo Gaasbeek. He is a senior policy advisor in the Netherlands. Please join us here. He is very known in the water and land and agricultural sector. He's an expert in tropical land use, irrigation engineering. He's got a PhD in disaster studies, also on inter-ethnic interaction around irrigation centers, systems. So he worked all over the place, from Cambodia, Sri Lanka, Sudan, Myanmar, Rwanda, and is now back in the Netherlands, where he concentrates on food security, research, and innovation for development. Maybe I can ask you to come forward and see if you've got enough space. Yes? The floor is yours, and thank you.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everybody. I need to read from my notes, so I have my thing in front of me. Apologies for that. Water scarcity is a major limitation on agricultural productivity and on the quality of diets. Some areas are simply dry. Other areas face short dry spells or longer droughts. And sometimes there is water, but salinity levels mean that good water is scarce. Perhaps, and this reminded me of that, the term water stress is better than water scarcity. These stress balls indicate that it's what stresses out our crops and our animals. That's what's the problem. Water scarcity and water stress are not just water problems. Climate change, their impact plays out through soil and soil moisture. And I think that is where we often need to start our discussion. Climate change is impacting water stress negatively. Increasing rainfall intensity means that there is more runoff and less infiltration. So even with the same rainfall, you still have less soil moisture and more water stress for your farming system. So we may need to start more with soil moisture than with rainfall when looking for solutions. Beside climate change, there is also pressure on agricultural land, and increasingly marginal areas are taken into use. And in turn, both the impact of climate change and the further stress on land, also biodiversity loss is accelerated, climate change is worsened, and it can further destabilize the hydrological cycle. So addressing this issue is not only about stabilizing our world food system, it's also about addressing the other crises that the world faces. The impact of water stress on the food system is global. Across the world, there are lessons to share and things to learn. And the WASAG initiative fulfills an important role in stimulating learning, exchange of experience, and ultimately working towards scaling up solutions. I am speaking here instead of Ms. Mijnke van Ginneke. She's the water envoy of the Netherlands. Unfortunately, she could not make it. From the Netherlands, the Ministry of Agriculture is primarily involved with WASAG. And our water envoy is attached to the Ministry of Infrastructure and Water. I am working in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Besides other parties like Wageningen University, the Netherlands Water Partnership, the Netherlands Food Partnership, Salt Doctors, and IHE Delft are actively involved. Perhaps this is an illustration of the cross-silo nature of water scarcity in agriculture. Addressing this global challenge needs broad engagement between, but also within countries. A core objective of the Dutch international water ambition is water security and safety for people, plants, and animals worldwide. Our policy on water scarcity in agriculture revolves around three principles. First, soil and water are guiding principles for context-specific plans. The quantity and quality of soil and water determine what is and is not possible. This means that the impact on soil health, water quantity and quality, erosion risks, water retention capacity, and the like must be considered when plans are made for area development. Second, a system approach is needed to address this complex problem. That means working at landscape level with a mix of specialisms and involving all stakeholders. Solutions must be context-specific. We cannot work with blueprints anymore. And third, it is important to keep different time horizons in mind. Sometimes we need short-term strategies to optimize the present situation. For example, the immediate effects of adverse weather events. Then you need to quickly respond to make sure that the damage the next time will not be as big. On the other hand, middle and long-term strategies look at the longer-term change that is happening, adaptation to climate change, or even transformation altogether of food and agriculture systems. This approach acknowledges that climate anomalies are increasingly more frequent and seeks durable long-term solutions that address the underlying issues and apply a systemic approach. The emphasis is on enhancing the resilience of natural, agricultural, and livestock systems. The Netherlands is one of the founding partners of WASAG and has been actively involved in supporting and promoting WASAG over the years. A key topic of involvement has been saline agriculture, but other topics are also important and relevant to the Netherlands. For example, the Netherlands has also been involved with the WAPOR initiative, that looks at using satellite data to assess water productivity in agriculture. The proposed new operating mechanisms that we will hear about today, where governments will play a greater leading role in WASAG, is a welcome development because it allows two things. Countries will own the solutions provided by WASAG and create the conditions for their mainstreaming into policy, strategies and projects on the ground. And second, countries will also own WASAG itself as an innovative facility at their disposal to facilitate the development of such solutions by committed partners. And then all this rich diversity of expertise can be shared and exchanged to maximize benefits for everyone. As the Netherlands, we are happy to contribute to this shared sense of ownership and to continue to be an active member of WASAG. I look forward to the presentations and discussions, and I wish you a fruitful and inspiring session. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much. Very, very interesting. And we know that the Dutch have been very active and will stay active in WASAG, and not only saline agriculture. I like your water scarcity compared to water stress. I think maybe that relates to a lot of people. So maybe we can start using that word. And now to give you more insight on what is happening, what WASAG is doing, we prepared a little video, and you can watch that first before we get the next speakers. So now you automatically see the importance of WASAG because it's really our future, and I think you will hear more of the next presentation that will be done first of all by our own Jean Boroto. He leads the global framework on water scarcity in agriculture, the WASAG. And he hosted also the FAO since WASAG since 2017. I remember that we started in Rome. And his previous position include senior water officer in the FAO regional office for Africa, regional water expert for the Global Water Partnership in Southern Africa, director of project planning and chief engineer and system operation in the Department of Water Affairs and Forestry in South Africa. So a very, very important person, and I can say without Jean, we wouldn't be as far. And of course, he was assisted in all the way by Rosaida Dolce. Please, I think you're doing the presentation together, is an environmental engineer specialized in water. She works in the Land and Water Division of the FAO since 2016 when we started. She's mainly working as part of the Secretariat of WASAG and engaging with partners, formulating and implementing projects to jointly address the increasing pressure of global change impacts on water scarcity, water stress in agriculture. So Rosaida, Jean, the floor is yours, and I know that we will be very well informed on the scaling up of WASAG after your presentation.
Thank you very much, Mariette. I think I'm just the channel. Rosaida and myself are the channel of a popular belief in the need for collective action. Because when we met in April 2017 in Rome, and then had our very first showcase event here in Stockholm 4 months later, no one could have guessed where we would go. If I look in this room, I see Jenny Barron, who can identify herself with the working group on saline agriculture. I see Julienne Roux, who can identify herself as a former steering committee member of WASAG and the leader of the working group on water and migration. I see Mike from Nebraska University all the way. Nebraska University is also a founding partner of WASAG, and they are very much involved into several working groups. They co-lead the group on drought preparedness. They are very active in the sustainable agriculture, water use, and so forth. I see a new kid on the block, Babette, from the Netherlands Food Partnership. The newcomers, they've been recently admitted as partners of WASAG, and they are doing a great job. So we want to give you updates today on what is happening in WASAG. It started really as this movement of voluntary people who are committed to work. That meeting of April had close to more than 100 participants, but 35 signed up and said, we want to be in this. We met Torkil, who was the first chair. He was just here for 1 day. We updated him. We met John Len, who was the first resource person who drafted the founding documents of WASAG. We updated him also. He was extremely happy to see what is happening. All the people that I've mentioned here are champions. And behind them, there are many others. My colleague Patricia is in the working group of water and migration. My colleague Amani here is overall WASAG. Georgia Coco came to FAO as a WASAG intern. My colleague, now your name is running away now that I'm stressed out. we collaborate together, Benjamin. So it is a movement actually that within our division, like this presentation was put, it's our colleague Jim and Michelle, who are the communication experts. They don't charge money. They put in their time, and sometimes management asks, how do you do it? They work overtime, and they do more than they're expected to do, because I think we all believe in the need for action. So that has led actually to, in our funding, in our initial mechanism, we provided for a steering committee, and I've mentioned some members. Then we had a Rome statement. Then when we came here that April with my former director, Eduardo Mansour, the challenge was to make a difference between FAO's role and what our partners could do. So in coming here, we started caucusing, and we proposed to the steering committee that we establish working groups. So these working groups then will be led by our partners, and only our partners, and FAO will provide just a kind of secretariat to convene the meetings and to guide the production of any knowledge products that could produce, or any work that they wish to do in the field, and bring up to the higher level, make it available to countries. And if you go on our website, in the different working groups, they have various publications. Those are the result of voluntary work. We have only done the publication once they have agreed on the outputs, once they've been peer reviewed. What came to our surprise then was that, though it was not provided for, countries came and said, no, we need you in our countries. Actually, we need to convene in our countries. There were 2 countries that joined forces. I'll even say 3. So Capo Verde, in fact, the executive Secretary of State of Capo Verde conveyed his apologies. He's sick, otherwise he was going to co-deliver also opening remarks. But so Capo Verde said, you come to my country and let's discuss this issue of water scarcity. And that's how we had the first WASAG forum in 2019 in Praia, Capo Verde. And this was co-led by Capo Verde, Switzerland, who provided the money actually for it to happen, and then Italy, whose expertise was critical in actually leading one of the working groups on sustainable agriculture water use, which was undergoing a transition. In the true spirit of, I think, bringing to the table what you have, as I said, Capo Verde offered the venue. Of course, it came with some expenses. Switzerland provided some money, and Italy provided some meat in terms of one of the topics, and they had exceptionally 3 sessions. And then from there, it became evident, not that we can compete with the Stockholm World Water Week, but this forum on WASAG created a space where we can actually discuss water scarcity without having to compete with anyone else, and create synergies with other colleagues and partners, countries, NGOs, and so forth. Then it became obvious that it was to take place every now and then. So COVID-19 came immediately, and before COVID-19, we were set on the World Water Day in March 2020 to take WASAG to the next level, what is happening now actually. But we had to shut down, and the event didn't take place. And to the credit of my colleague Rosaida, it looks like she stepped out of the room. You are there, yeah. She's a busy bee. She became, I think in our division, the champion of webinars. You remember just after COVID-19 how everyone converted to webinars. So since our working groups couldn't meet, since we couldn't come to Stockholm, we held webinars, I think up to 11 webinars. And some of those webinars, which were managed by the working groups, they were really well attended. And I remember one on sustainable agriculture water use that was led by IMI had up to 560 participants, which was, I think, a record. And then we came back to life. And the next logical output was to reconvene again after COVID-19. And so Capo Verde again with Switzerland, they put their resources together and we met again in Praia in 2023. Then there was a lot of movement where, in fact, one of the key outcomes of the second meeting was, look, this baby is growing. He's extremely relevant. We have demonstrated that he is creating a role, and we need now to recognize that it needs a space. So a prior call for action was adopted. And in that prior call for action, we agreed that all member countries will be invited to become partners of WASAG. And then we agreed that we will meet in a plenary assembly once a year, or once every second year, and then reconvene as partners, like in prior, the other year. The plenary assembly being the floor given to member states to express their needs, whereas the technical, the forum will be like a meeting like this for 3 days. You go in the field and then you come, you network, but you focus on water scarcity. So initially the forum was not part of any mechanism of WASAG, but it imposed itself. I must say that there is providence in everything that happens. The new management that we have in our division, Mr. Li Fengli, brought in a new impetus. What is happening is really a result of his vision. Not only he has managed to raise the profile of water in overall FAO, Mariette was still talking about it, but he felt that there was a missed opportunity with WASAG, and he is the one really was behind this idea that member states need to play a bigger role, because for the reasons that our keynote speaker mentioned, that they stand to benefit from it, and they have to take ownership of it. And so, also to give substance to the content of WASAG and how it operates, a review was carried out to just see our business model. Do we work at country level? Do we work at global level? At the end, it was agreed that we'll have a hybrid model where we'll allow at global level to have policy-related development work and strategy, but then at country level, we'll allow those policies, those knowledge products that are developed to be implemented. Then, let me move to the next slide. So, in a nutshell, what is happening now is that from what we had before, or what we have now, we had first a steering committee, that's the second column, and we had a partners meeting that were provided for in the previous TORs of WASAG. Now, what is new, and that's the first column, that we'll have a steering committee that is member-led. We'll have the current steering committee, it will become a technical advisory committee, and then the partners meeting will become a plenary assembly, a formal plenary assembly, where all the members will be invited together with all the partners, and then we'll have a WASAG International Forum. So as far as the composition of the new steering committee is concerned, so Capo Verde as a champion has offered to be the first chair through its prime minister, and then all the membership will be at ministerial or ambassador level. In case the minister cannot make it, they can nominate the permanent representative of their country to be on the steering committee. Their role is to own the partnership. Their role is to provide the strategic watership direction, and then to mobilize the required commitments for the partnership to continue to operate. The current steering committee, which is made of countries, UN agencies, research institutions, they are the biggest members of the steering committee, NGOs and professional organizations such as ICAD. It will mute into a technical advisory committee which will provide the technical and scientific guidance to the partnership and report to the steering committee. The plenary assembly, which will meet every second year, is where really the countries will convene and take stock of what is happening. Of course, it will be facilitated by the secretariat, but under the ownership of the steering committee. And then the WASAG International Forum, it will continue to operate the way it operates. The question mark is that I think in October it's on the agenda, who will be the host of that the partners meet the forum. That I think Cape Verde remains available, but I think by default they will be the host, but we look forward to having other countries stepping forward to make sure that it rotates. In fact, the declaration that we propose, we say that it should be rotating per regions. So this is my second last slide. So in the categories of partners of WASAG, so the first category now, it will be countries. Then the second category will have 4 groups. The first group is UN agencies, which were there traditionally, but in addition, we have international financial institutions. We feel, and while we are here, we have been talking to some of them, just to raise their awareness. We collaborate with some of them already. IFAD is a partner of WASAG. The World Bank leads the working group on sustainable agriculture water use. The Asian Development Bank was involved in our joint call for action together with the government of the Netherlands to promote silent agriculture. Then the second group remains academia and research institutions. The third group is civil society organizations. And the fourth group is private sector organizations. And thanks to the Dutch who have the SART doctors, they are a peculiar setup. They call themselves a social enterprise. And we did our due diligence. We made representations to our Office of Partnerships. And yes, we are happy to say that thanks to the SALT doctors, so we have now a new category of partners in this group 4. It's social enterprises. And also we opened the door to foundations. What we present to you here has been revised by our legal office, and it's going to be implemented. So my last slide is, this is how it will look like. So FAO in the middle is providing secretarial services. We don't like to call it secretariat, but this is what it is. Then we report to the Committee on Agriculture, which is made of all the member countries and who dictate the FAO agenda on agriculture. In fact, end of the month, the first week of October, there is a COAG session, and WASAG is also on the menu of that meeting. So to the right, you have all the meetings. So you have the partners meeting who own WASAG, then you have the steering committee, and then you have the plenary assembly. To the other side, you have got working groups, the 6 working groups that I've mentioned. But what is also mentioned in the prior call for action is that the topics that are of interest beyond those 6 groups, silent agriculture, sustainable agriculture, water use, water and migration, drought preparedness, and so forth, there are other issues that require equal attention. However, we need to keep this structure lean, flexible. So rather than multiplying the working groups, we said these topics will be managed or dealt with under task forces. So there will be a task force, for example, on nature-based or ecosystem-based approaches. We had this session this morning, and there is some traction that is happening there already with our colleagues from the US. There will be a working group on water, food, energy, and environment nexus. There will be a task force on unconventional sources of water and so forth. And then those working groups and task forces will then interact with the Technical Advisory Committee, and then the Technical Advisory Committee will be in charge of organizing the international forum. And that has always been the case, and the forum will always establish a scientific committee where the steering committee plays a role. Mariette can confirm that. And then the working groups, actually the engines that make things happen and being in charge of the different sessions. So I will stop here and hand over to my future boss, Rosaida Dolce. Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you, Jean. And yeah, if you can keep on the presentation, thanks. And are you still awake in this afternoon, last day of the World Water Week? Yes. So I have a question for you. So this is a family photo. How many of you knows from where it comes from? Raise your hand if you know. Let me see how many hands. Okay, few, not all. Okay, for all of you that didn't raise your hand, I will tell you more about it. This is the technical preparatory meeting on the high-level dialogue on WASAG that took place in Rome in FAO HQ this year, 29-30 of April. And it was a very good and interesting meeting because we have discussed so many things about WASAG. It was a starting point preparing us to go to the next event that we will have in October, this high-level dialogue. You can see a picture of many of you, I think. Some of you are here in the room, and you can recognize yourself. It was a very successful meeting with ambassadors, partners. All of them provide their insights to different documents that we have discussed, and we are still discussing, and they will be endorsed in the next meeting. So, what has been done? We have drafted a Rome Declaration that on water scarcity in agriculture, and this one is a document that is an ongoing discussion with the partners, but especially with the members countries. So every time you see members, show it somewhere in our website or documents, means member countries. And we will receive feedback from them. We will have regional discussion, and it will be endorsed on 17 October 2024 during this high-level dialogue that is part of the World Food Forum. It's very big and huge event. It's a full week from 14 to 18, so I invite you all to participate. It has 3 different forums, family farming, youth forum, science innovation, investment, so it's really a big important event, and for us it's like a big milestone because we will endorse the Rome Declaration, but we will also endorse the WASAG strategy because, of course, this is a second phase of WASAG. So we are moving to a new shape, and we need to have a new strategies to guide us through this process. So as being discussed with the partners, I guess some of you have been interviewed for inputs, and it will be also endorsed in the next meeting together with the operating mechanism that Jean just showed you before. So the current steps that we are working on now is we have launched the call for expression of interest. What does it mean? It's a call for all members countries to express their interest to become member of the new steering committee of WASAG. As Jean mentioned, the next steering committee will be member-led. So countries will be part of this, IFIs will be part of this, and we want to have it also a regional balance, of course. So what we are doing, especially in the next month, and one is next week, the next meeting, meeting with the regional groups. FAO is divided in 7 regional groups: Africa, Near East, Latin America and Caribbean, and we have 2 seats per region for the big one. For the small one, we will have 1 seat. So the discussion is ongoing for the election of the new steering committee. So countries will nominate and will send us their nomination, and through these regional groups. And together, as Jean said, we have already approached also IFIs. So what we expect to come out from this high-level dialogue is the adoption of the Rome Declaration on Water Scarcity in Agriculture to guide the activities of WASAG through the next phase, the establishment of this member-led steering committee, agreement on the venue of the new international forum, because as he said, the new forum will be moving around worldwide, and also the first plenary assembly. As you can see, the forum will be next year. The plenary assembly will be in 2026 and will be rotated. So 1 year we will have the international forum that targets mainly also partners. And then we have the plenary assemblies that will be held in FAO HQ in Rome with all the member countries. And of course, we will organize the first meeting of the steering committee. Next steps. The first meeting of the steering committee, implement the ongoing activities of WASAG, because what we have explained you today is mainly how we are moving to the next phase of WASAG. But we have so many ongoing activities. Jean mentioned few publications, all the activities of the working group, the awesome initiative you heard during the video. So a lot is ongoing, and we need to, of course, implement all the activities, finalize and implement the strategy for the next phase, elect the new technical advisory committee. This committee is also crucial. It's now composed, the steering committee, the actual steering committee will move and transit to technical advisory committee. They are very key because they are the ones guiding the activities on the ground together in collaboration with the working groups. So we need to establish, our plan is to establish it suddenly after the high-level dialogue, so by the end of the year. Overseeing the establishment of new task forces, John already mentioned them, and the preparation of our 2 major events. So I think between Jean and myself, we already gave you a big overview, and now I think it's time to move to our partners to speak, and then if you have any question, we will be very happy to address them. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Rosaida, and thank you very much, Jean. You see, they haven't sit still. There has been such a lot of work done, and I think it's amazing that we are at this very point that everything is coming to fulfillment. And what we had in mind, at the start, it was something that only was a dream, and now you can see that it can only grow and it can only be upscaled, and it will be. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I'm sure that the presentations will be on our website, the WASAG website, because I can imagine if this comes in with all this information, it will be very hard and difficult to remember. As Rosaida said, we would like to go now to the members, and I would like to invite Christopher Neal, Director of Research at the University of Nebraska, Director of Research on Doherty Water for Food Global Institute, and a professor at the university. So with over 38 years of experience, amazing that you in irrigation, and you
retire.
No, but this you have been an inspiration to the WASAG group, and very, very committed. So we appreciate all the things that you've done, and I'm sure you will enlighten everyone on what has been done by your university, by you and your team. Thank you.
Oh, I'm supposed to say something, huh?
Yes. Oh, yes, sorry. I'll invite, you're not on, sorry. I'll invite, there's others, so I will invite you all. And so the next person I would like to invite is, of course, Rashana Mathur. She is from the Water Youth Network, Roshana is a result-driven water professional, I have heard, and she's in 3 youth organizations to promote water and sustainable water management practices. So thank you very much for being here. And then last but not least, definitely, is Hiba Al-Harari, Land Water Officer FEO for the Near East and North Africa, strengthening water governance for agriculture and food security, of course, and that means enabling effective problem solving to produce policies and institutions. That we're very, very happy that you could be here, and I am going to ask you all some questions, and I'm sure you will enlighten us all with your answers. So, Christopher, am I allowed to start with you? Yes? Okay. So, as a founding partner of WASAG, what value have you seen in this partnership, and what are your expectations for its future impact and direction, which is also very important, of course? So the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Mariette. I think the WASAG has been able to broaden the discussion on the need to prepare and adapt for future climate extremes, right? We're talking water scarcity, drought, but we've also got to remember the other extreme floods that can be just as devastating for agriculture and people, right? So in that sense, we've raised that awareness to some countries, and I think the impact is to continue this message, continue raising the awareness and bringing more countries into the fold, having them prepare for these future climate extremes that are already being noted, right? Despite some deniers still. We've seen we're seeing examples of going from droughts to other extremes of floods, like Northern California a couple of years ago, right? After 20 years of drought, they suddenly have this huge snow and rain over snow event that created floods. We see the same phenomena in Central Asia and other snow-driven watersheds. The recent floods in Pakistan, right, due to melting glaciers enhanced by rain. A recent example in Porto Alegre, southern Brazil, right, where they had been in a drought and suddenly 600 millimeters in a month with 203 days, right? So, so this is our reality we got to deal with in the future. And so we've got to examine, and this is one of WASAG's goals, examine basins and look, because the solutions are not the same everywhere, right? So we've got to examine each basin, look at the multiple uses of water in that basin, whether it's industrial, municipal, urban, nature, agriculture, right? There's always some combination of all. We've got to examine and look for solutions, whether they're nature-based or infrastructure, right? I know we've been through an age that building gray infrastructure and dams has been environmentally criticized, but under this new reality, we've got to examine that as one of the suites of options, right? An infrastructure that can handle droughts, but also be resilient for drought, right? And store water for human consumption and for agriculture. So hopefully we can continue with this message in WASAG and also remind folks in these basins that, listen, you can't complain that agriculture uses 70% of water and not give us a seat at the table, right? So always make sure that agriculture has a seat in these discussions.
Yes.
So,
and that means linking water to all the different sectors, of course.
That's right.
I mean, it's energy as well, as you.
Energy is another use, recreation, right?
Yeah, it's all very important for water. And what about the time frame? Because you say we have to investigate, we have to look at these things, but the solutions. I mean, looking at the current situation in the world, we need solutions very soon.
Well, we've got to first get people together to discuss these solutions on a local scale, right?
Yes.
Because every basin is going to be different. We have other basins that are transboundary, right? So solutions need to be also agreeable and benefit all the countries in that basin, right?
Yeah.
And so it's going to depend on scale, and it's going to depend on the uses. But the sooner we have these conversations and implement the infrastructural solutions, the better, right? And to deal with what's coming.
Yes. Thank you very much. And there's still a lot to do, as we can hear from your story. And I mean, everyone knows what's going on climate-wise, and
we can't grow food without water.
That's absolutely, well, that's how we started. I mean, the population is growing, and so we need more food and more water. So I think there's definitely a future for WASAG, isn't there?
Yes.
That's for sure. So may I start with, continue with you, Hiba? And so the question to you is in the context of the inter-regional platform on water scarcity. How do you see your role in supporting countries within your region and beyond in addressing and managing the water scarcity that you must know all about in your area?
Thank you very much. I'm very pleased to be here and to see all these efforts on how to link the global efforts of WASAG also with the work that we are currently doing under the Interregional Technical Platform on Water Scarcity. And maybe let me start first by just telling everyone about the platform so they may not be very aware of it. The Interregional Technical Platform on Water Scarcity was established by FAO based on a decision that was made by the Director General in June 2022 with the objective of scaling up water-related action and advancing the interregional collaboration between the FAO regional offices and their associated partners. So I believe all the people in the room fully recognize that water scarcity as a challenge is a very complex challenge. It is interlinked with all the development sectors and causes complex interactions with a broad systemic impact on societies, economies, and also the environment. So this requires a collaborative approach and a multifaceted nexus frameworks that offer a win-win propositions to all the various actors who are involved. And in the context of the Interregional Technical Platform on Water Scarcity, we had a vision that was developed when the platform was initiated with all these hardships actually in mind. So the mission of the platform basically evolved around embracing complexity, inclusion, interconnectedness, and also innovation. As a center of excellence that brings together the regional and national experts from the regional offices of FAO and building on the experiences of the regional initiatives and the national work that we have within the organization, the IRTP helps in supporting and support the identification of the gaps in innovation and also in practice, and to provide clear-sighted trade-offs on what are the possible means for ensuring and enhancing the system preparedness, particularly focusing on integrated nexus approaches. So within the context of WASAG, the IRTP could certainly support countries in various ways, but maybe some key areas where we can bring some benefits is on the focus of bridging the gap between science and policy. And the IRTP could play here a leading role in facilitating inter-regional policy dialogues that across various regions, particularly on effective nexus frameworks. These bilateral and multilateral dialogues will help in identifying what are the common challenges between specific regions and how we can work together on the identification of integrated solutions, and also will allow the providing a comparative analysis between the solutions that are being integrated in various contexts and what are the limitations and what could be maybe the trade-offs that are different from one region to another. Also, it can really limit the areas of duplication of efforts across various partners and lay the foundation for a more effective collaboration across regions. Now, another key area is advancing the use of science evidence-based decision-making in integrated land and water management and planning, and this is where the IRTP could really help and started working on the development of tailored guidelines that can help the standardization of specific tools and methods based on the experience that we have at FAO. And this will also be facilitated by the broader exchanges that can be done across regions, which will help in understanding what are the limitations and could also help in identifying demand-driven maybe activities that can be designed that would involve multiple regions and where for example, specific countries can have some leadership roles in the implementation of these joint regional activities based on their comparative advantage, based on their experiences. And some examples of that could be, for example, the work that we are currently doing at the Regional Office of Near East and North Africa on non-conventional water resources. We have made several advancements in this area with respect to the use of desalination for agriculture and also treated water for agriculture. This can also be translated to other regions. Also, for example, the office in Europe has been doing lots of efforts in advancing water user associations, the design, and also the sustainability of these groups, which we would like to benefit from in our region. And such examples also can, more examples, I mean, can be given in this regard. So the activities that we work on is usually built on existing efforts that the regional offices are currently doing. So they are in line with the regional strategies and what the country needs, but they also have a finance design thinking which will capitalize on existing financial opportunities that we have within the organization and will also help in identifying practical actions where we can pilot some of these examples across various regions. Finally, we also work on the development of a joint capacity development agenda with a special focus on Wi-Fi nexus. Where we can have common cross-regional capacity aspects that are aligned with the country's development goals, and will allow the countries to see tangible benefits from their involvements. We also work on joint research collaboration opportunities that can be also identified. And we also focus on strengthening the collaboration, in particular with the academia, with the research institutions across the different regions, also enhancing the possible collaboration with the private sector to ensure that we have an inclusive partnership, and also that all the resources, possible resources in all regions are being utilized effectively. So these are some of the examples that we are currently working on, and we will be happy to further explore possible also pathways to be engaged with the work that you are doing in the future. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you very much. This is very impressive and also hard work, we can see. So, and inclusive means for you also that you are in touch with the locals,
yes.
That the local needs are really put forward so that you can continue at a higher level to implement what they need, I presume?
Yes, certainly, through the engagement with NGOs within the countries themselves, also regional NGOs. We have lots of partners, contributing partners as part of the interregional platform are also from regional NGOs who are working with localities and working with the communities and looking at various aspects with respect to the vulnerable communities, the gender elements, etc. So these are all considerations that we try to include in our work.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you. And then I would like to continue with you, Rashana Mutur. So if you're thinking of the Water Youth Network, I mean, you are a WASAG partner, so we're very happy. And as youth, always, as we say, has the future. So how do you envision your role in helping countries address the water scarcity?
Thank you for the question. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining the session today with us. The Water Youth Network is honored to be part of this crucial discussions, and also congratulations to WASAG on achieving such a great amount of work in a short span, and also to have over 70 members. I think this achievement marks a significant step towards combining and also advancing SDGs that are interconnected, especially with water and food. As a global network of youth professionals and activists dedicated to advancing water sustainability, Water Youth Network brings diverse voices from across the globe to address water-related challenges. We are happy to collaborate on building resilient agri-food systems through the WASAG network. Tackling water scarcity effectively requires innovative solutions and broad range of perspectives. That's why we're committing to support countries through multifaceted approaches, and we are focused on 3 key aspects. The first one being expanding youth involvement. We believe that young people should not be a silent recipient of science, policy, or technological interventions, but rather be actively involved in developing and implementing them from the ground up. By encouraging more young people to join the working groups and the partner organizations, we can harness their passion and persistence to contribute to meaningful solutions. The second one is knowledge sharing and capacity building. Water Youth Network aims to facilitate the exchange of knowledge and best practices among the countries by organizing workshops, webinars, and training sessions to build the capacity of young professionals and local communities. The third one is research and policy advocacy. We are committing to supporting research that deepens our understanding of water scarcity issues amongst various geographies. Additionally, we advocate for policies that prioritize sustainable water management, including youth perspectives at the core of programs, strategies, and interventions. More immediately, we are already contributing to 2 major WASAG working groups, drought preparedness and water and migration, and we look forward to continuing this work and supporting WASAG through these channels to help address countries on water scarcity challenges. We want to invite WASAG and its partners to consider developing a mentorship program to involve young people more effectively. We are eager to support this initiative, connecting emerging talent and experienced professionals to foster growth and also to provide a channel to continue the knowledge that's been gathered by the experienced professionals and to foster innovation in the water management. Furthermore, we encourage WASAG to continue involving young people in the country-led steering committee and technical advisory committee. Including youth in these roles will ensure diverse perspectives and representations, and we are confident that it will contribute to more innovative solutions. Lastly, I want to express our gratitude for the trust placed in Water Youth Network by appointing a youth representative as co-vice chair of WASAG. We hope this decision will signal to all the partners the importance of integrating youth in planning policies and future projects. We look forward to collaborating with member states, partners, institutions to scale impactful projects to ensure long-term sustainability through inclusive approaches. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well, you've got partners here already, so you can start. But we're very happy that you're part of WASAG, and I am sure that you will have a very special role in the future of the upscaling of WASAG. You will be a very good ambassador for all of us, and I'm sure there might be some questions to these panelists? Is there anyone who would, or to the former speakers? If you no, then okay. If online there are any questions, I mean, you can put them in, and it will be able to answer them at a later stage. So, thank you very much for your wonderful presentations and answers. We hope that the future will be able to implement everything that we want to achieve, and I'm sure with all our help it will work. Thank you and good luck.
Thank you.
Yes. So I have to so now I would like to ask the Fabrice Fretz, I hope I pronounced that correctly, deputy head of the water section of the Swiss Agency Development SDC, to give us the closing remarks.
I was not expecting to speak so early. I was hoping there were going to be questions.
Okay. But maybe we'll get the questions after your closing remarks.
Well, thank you very much, first of all, to the FAO for the kind invitation to speak at this session. Ladies and gentlemen, let me give you maybe three takeaways, or three of my takeaways from the short clip that was shown on WASAG and from the interventions of our panelists. The first probably is that there is an urgent need to transform our food system. This transformation is essential to achieve the SDGs, to help keep climate change within the limits set by the Paris Agreement, and to make our food system more sustainable and resilient. The second takeaway is the importance of addressing water scarcity in agriculture within the WIFI nexus. This approach is crucial in responding to the threats that climate change poses to global food security and nutrition. The third is that this is a global challenge that requires urgent and global attention. Indeed, as water scarcity, climate change, and ecosystem pressures intensify over time and energy demand increases, the issue will progressively affect all countries and regions in the world. And Switzerland is no exception. With climate and land use changes, water scarcity is also becoming a challenge in my country, often referred as the water castle of Europe. Although precipitation rates and intensities are increasing, it is mainly occurring as rain rather than snow. This reduction in snowfall prevents glaciers from maintaining their mass. Consequently, there is less water available in the valleys for agricultural production due to the diminished melting process. Prolonged droughts cause springs to dry up temporarily, while increased rainfall intensities throughout the year lead to erosion of valuable farmland. Additionally, hail damages cultivated areas, resulting in damage or lost yields for farmers. Moreover, water scarcity in one region can impact food security in another. For instance, in Switzerland, around 50% of our food is imported, meaning its food availability relies on water availability elsewhere in the world. Therefore, a multilateral approach is essential to address water scarcity effectively. And it is with this in mind that Switzerland first supported the establishment of the global framework on WASAG when it was presented during the FAO Committee on Agriculture in October 2018. It has continued to do so ever since. While Switzerland values the dedication of all partners in numerous other countries in finding innovative solutions to water scarcity, we would like here to particularly acknowledge Cabo Verde, which has been and will continue to be a strong leader of WASAG. a multi-stakeholder approach is essential to bring all relevant stakeholders together, both within and beyond the food system sphere, to collaboratively develop and implement solutions for transforming our food systems towards greater sustainability. WASAG has been instrumental in facilitating the creation of technical knowledge products, including guidelines, and in enabling stakeholders to learn from each other. We are confident that the new WASAG structure that you've presented, Zaida, will further enhance the translation of technical knowledge into effective policy tools. There is a clear need for an impactful WASAG, and we would like to take this opportunity to express our support for the new operating mechanisms. It's indeed time for more countries to actively participate in WASAG, and a member-led steering committee will provide the platform for them to express their priorities and to agree on the best ways to collaborate and to achieve shared objectives. With the new structure and operating mechanism, WASAG will become an initiative by countries, for countries, with strong stakeholder involvement. And I'm pleased to confirm here that Switzerland is very keen in becoming a member of the new steering committee of WASAG. To conclude, allow me to commend the FAO for creating this platform and bringing us together to discuss this crucial topic at the World Water Week. We eagerly anticipate the outcomes of the high-level dialogue on WASAG this coming October. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I think I would like to come back if there are any questions on what we have discussed, because there has been so much information that I can imagine it's a little bit mind-boggling that from nothing to from starting to having this huge platform now. Sorry.
Yes. Hi. Is this on? Okay. My name's Vanessa Puig-Williams. I'm with the Environmental Defense Fund. And I was curious, I know that you had a category in WASAG for NGOs, but I had a hard time following exactly when and how NGOs and sort of the higher level planning could participate.
So I think maybe either Rosaida or Jean can answer that.
First, thank you for the question. And I can announce that for asking a question, this is your present.
So the first prize.
So anyone who wants to join WASAG, submit a request. So you write to us, we send you a form, you fill it in, you say who you are, and then what you have to offer. And it means that you have first taken, you've become familiar with what WASAG has to offer as in our founding documents. And then that application is presented to the steering committee. And once it's approved, Babette, the newest on the block, she's from an NGO, she can confirm. And she's very engaging. So you joined late last year. And now we are talking of opening actually a WASAG chapter in the Netherlands with her and the other partners. So it's very informal. If you want to be involved in a working group, or you have a topic, or you are organizing a conference, because it's like, as I said, Netherlands, they are very champion in saline agriculture. The Swiss came with some money to help us to operate. The Capo Verde offered the Zevienu. Italy dealt with sustainable agriculture, water use. So anyone who has got something to bring to help find solutions to work, you come. Yeah.
Thank you. And you can. We are a big family, and it would really be nice to get more people to join, but also to be ambassadors, to be the ambassador in your home, in your organization, in your country, to show that WASAG is important for the future, and maybe that you're part of it. So thank you for your question. You were the second one, I realized. that. Yes? Okay. Your question, please. Your name first, please.
Yeah, so I'm Martin Findlay. I work for a big engineering consultancy called Arup. And so I was quite interested in, I just picked up a couple of things. One from Fabrice talking about glacial melt. And another from, sorry, I can't remember your name, Christopher, talking about, you know, how grey infrastructure is not very sexy anymore, but is maybe essential. So I just wondered if you've got any thoughts on whether, you know, with increased droughts, with glacier melt meaning that lakes are also reducing, do we need more big infrastructure projects, or do you think you can get away with, you know, smarter irrigation techniques and other methods?
Christopher.
Yeah, well, thank you for the question. Let's go back to the watersheds that depend on snow accumulation and melt, right? What we're seeing is more precipitation in the form of rain instead of snow early in the season. And then late in the season, we're seeing rain over snow events that exacerbates the runoff and the timing of the runoff, right? So in many of these basins that depend on snow melt, in normal times, the snow would melt, you would divert water for irrigation and so forth. But if it's running off early, you don't have it when you need it. So the hydrograph is shifting. So that's where storage might be needed, whether it's underground, somewhere we got to store. And now, regarding the gray infrastructure, I'll give you an example, a recent example. The last 2 hydropower plants that were built in the Amazon basin in Brazil were run-of-the-river hydropower plants. Well, we had a severe drought last year, and they couldn't generate any electricity because there was no storage behind those dams, right? So, I mean, these are just examples, right, that we've got to consider storage with infrastructure as one of the options in the suite of options. It's not the solution everywhere, but we've got to take that into account to deal with these events that are happening.
Yes, there's a question. Would you like to answer?
Maybe just a very short word on that. And it's probably not a very positive one. Because the melting of glaciers, and particularly in Switzerland, is inevitable. We say that even if climate warming would stop today, we would lose glacier mass by, I think, over 30 or 35% in the years to come. So it's really a question of limiting the disaster, trying, and or the only real credible solution is to really limit climate change, to try and slow it down. I mean, there are local initiatives happening. I'm thinking of the we call that in English, you know, covering glaciers as well. But it's just a question of postponing this inevitability. So we need to concentrate on how we will adapt to that. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. I've got 2 more questions. 3. 1, 2, 3. So.
So just to link the task force in WASAG, less grey infrastructure and more nature-based solution or ecosystem-based solutions. So this storage system, conveying water, it should be using nature-based solution or / ecosystem-based solution, less grey infrastructure, which is one of the arms of WASAG.
Yes, definitely. Thank you very much. Oh. Yes. You go first.
Okay, well, thank you very much. And this is very interesting. I actually study snow and glaciers in my day job. But my question currently is actually...
Can you please give your name?
Oh, sorry, pardon me. My name is Zoe. And thank you very much for the presentations. And I actually just had a question about WASAG specifically, which was that I somewhat expected to hear a bit more about the other Rome-based agencies, so IFAD and WFP, in the conversation. And I know you mentioned them briefly, but I was just wondering if you could comment a little bit further on sort of what the Rome-based agencies as a trio might be doing for WASAG's implementation and design.
Thank you. Joining WASAG is voluntary. WFP is more humanitarian, really emergency and so forth. For now, they have not yet joined WASAG, but we expect that they might. IFAD is a founding member of WASAG, and IFAD is part of two working groups. The working group on sustainable agriculture, water use, which about really sustainable irrigation. And by virtue of being an international financial institution, they are also a member of the WASAG working group on financing mechanism, and they are the co-author of the framework on financing mechanism, which is available on our website. So we think that in due time, WFP will also join, but IFAD is definitely a partner of WASAG.
Okay, thank you. And then Jenny, I think you wanted to continue on the question, yes.
On the infrastructure issue.
Infrastructure, yes, of course.
Yes, my name is Jenny Barron. I'm usually a professor in ag water management at the Swedish University of Agricultural Sciences, but I'm also part of the working group Water and Nutrition. And I would like to just continue a little bit on the comments here on infrastructure, whether it should be green or grey. And I think that this is actually something that a WASAG topic group could really help unpack, because we have a lot of sunk infrastructure investments in agricultural landscapes, and it's not just the irrigation but also the drainage and storage. So how that is going to look forward, I think, is a very interesting question, and needs multiple perspective. It cannot be only nature-based, it cannot be only grey, but it's what is good examples of good combinations, so we save costs and save food production. So thanks everyone in the room who brought that up, because we have maybe missed that a little bit in our WASAG teams. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Are there any more questions? Yes. I'm happy we came back for the questions, because otherwise it would have been...
Yes,
yes,
Julienne Roux. I used to be very involved in WASAG up until 2 years ago. I'm very pleased to see the developments. I'm very happy also to see the profile of the topic, raising the global political topic, which I think is crucially needed, and I hope WASAG will contribute to lift that. My question is more specifically on the working groups and task forces going forward, because I think for maybe stakeholders, this might be one of the ways they would really be involved in making change happen. So if you have time to explain a little bit the vision on those. Thank you.
On the
on
the working groups and
for
the task
working
forces.
groups and task forces, what's the vision briefly?
The vision of the world, yeah.
Yeah, I think the first statement is that working groups are driven by champions, because the work that we do is voluntary. So the working group on soil and agriculture, I think it's an example of committed people who have spent countless hours working on a very technical publication that is now out and is being tested. First you saw on the video in Cabo Verde, in Uzbekistan. It's happening also in Argentina and in the Netherlands, where it's being tested. So I think each working group shapes its own vision, because you are experts in your own right and you know the topic and you know the agenda. The working group on drought preparedness, for example, relies a lot on WMO, World Meteorological Organization, and UNCCD. And what they do is like the process like integrated drought management. They embed into the work of WASAG so that, and that's actually the purpose of WASAG really, to bring our collective initiatives together to make sure that we can put that knowledge out there. So they tailor their interventions according to the opportunities that are there. So the task forces have been identified as gaps that needs to be addressed. And like Jenny, if Li Feng was here, he would tell you that you are reading his mind, because actually when we discussed about new working groups, he said, no, we need to see how we can establish synergies, because there are significant overlaps and opportunities for, rather than multiplying these working groups, but to find a common ground to address one agenda. So the task forces, we said they are in theory they are time bound, but it's up to them if they demonstrate that they have value in being longer term, then they can mute into a working group. But for now, we think that they will be time bound, but time will tell. Yeah.
Thank you very much. I think it's also about time for us, or can we still have one more question? In case, yes, please.
Just a quick one.
The microphone, because the people listening in.
All right. Institution. All right, thank you. I'm Edward, and it would be strange because I'm a theologian. So I'm like, it sounds this thing is only for the technocrats in this field, or even the indigenous stakeholders back home. Thank you.
First on religion, the Jean-Paul II Foundation for the Sahel, which is a Christian organization, is a partner of WASAG. The awesome initiative that we mentioned, in May, we were in Malawi. I don't know which country you come from. So we were in Malawi because we had identified, so we are promoting indigenous drought-resilient crops. We were with your gene bank. It's a bit outside Lilongwe. We were impressed by all the indigenous crops that they go out there and identify, they profile them, they characterize them, and once they've confirmed their properties from a nutrition perspective, from other perspective, and the drought resilience, this is what is of interest to us, that's why we went there, they release them. So generically, and as I was saying to Amani in your session when people were speaking about weighing your criteria, in our case, we chose generically two kinds of crops. We took millets, and you know pear millets and finger millets in Malawi, and then we chose leguminous, vignes. So when we went to Malawi, first we had brought Malawians in our first workshop in Morocco, 2 experts, but 2 cannot pretend to represent the country. Then one went in the country, went in the field, then we got inputs. So they chose mukuna. They chose sweet potato. And as a start, and there are other crops. I can tell you I was very impressed. So we go in the taxi to the airport and back from the airport, we start teasing the local community like our taxi driver, and we tell him we spoke about this crop and this crop. First he said about mukuna. Mukuna, it comes from the south there, around, not Lilongwe, but the other big city in Malawi. Blantyre, around Blantyre. And he said, you know, mukuna, it's poisonous. So how many hours must I cook it, boil it, to get rid of the poison? Then there was another crop. They said, it's very nutritious. I said, but he grows maize. But why can't you grow that crop? You say it's very nutritious. If you grow it, it will make a lot of money. I said, yeah, indeed, I never thought about it. So Malawi is now we are signing a small agreement with Malawi to develop these indigenous crops and disseminate them. Malawi is so good that we have agreed, and one of the 4 countries that we mentioned, it's South Sudan. So South Sudan maybe don't need much support, but they need knowledge, exposure to knowledge. So we have agreed that once our initiative gets going in Malawi, we'll do an exchange visit so that experts from South Sudan will come and learn from Malawi. Ziko Mopambili.
Amazing, amazing. I think I've got a last question because time is...
Yes, thank you. And my question is just a disclaimer. I see there's still one gift to go if nobody wants it. So my question is mainly pushed forward by Rashana. I know she loves question, but maybe I'll pose it to her, and then Boroto will answer it. She mentioned the youth engagement within the structure. So
yes,
it's I'm part of WASAG, so we are happy we are moving towards this direction. So maybe Rashana, if you can just, what would be some of the, not ideal, but proposed engagement sectors of the youth within this structure? Because we have WASAG here, we have the partners and everyone. And also Jean can also maybe circle back and also answer, yes, we can engage youth more in this, within the structure, we can accommodate them here, or there's room in this sector. And youth here cuts across everyone, youth at heart. So Christopher, even if it's 38 years plus, so the youth, it's not just the age, so youth at heart. So thank you.
Right. Thank you. Would you like to answer? Yes? Okay. Because I'm, for instance, here as representing the women's organizations, the Women and Water, and that is also across everything. So youth and women can easily work together and join WASAG to give them sometimes another perspective of how this side of society, the 50%, of the population thinks about water and all the issues. But please go ahead.
Yeah. Hi, thank you for the question. I think one of the more practical ways of engaging youth is to, I would not use the cliche sentence of giving the seat at the table, but to have more engaging participation in decision-making processes. And luckily, when I was reading more about WASAG, I understood the vice chair and the systems, how it works. And there are already young people involved in the leadership roles.
Yes.
And since there is a change from the old system to the new one, so I would really hope to have more young people in leadership positions, not just on the sideline of just share your opinion, not that kind of thing, but truly making decisions. So I think, yeah, I think already WASAG is doing, but I would like to see it at a more local and also at country level.
Yeah. Thank you very much. And we'll make sure that that is going to happen. Huh? So I would like to thank you because I think we're well in time. Thank you very much for all your presentations, for your presence, for your questions, for listening to this whole new structure of WASAG. We're very happy that you've been listening till the end, and I do hope that you all will become ambassadors, at least ambassadors of WASAG. Explain it to everyone around you, because I think we need to grow and go big and conquer the world. So thank you very much.